Ready? Good evening. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education on the Tuesday evening, January 12th.
Here. Scarpino, present. Stevens? Miller?
Present.
Lamarca?
Present.
Fiorentino?
Present.
6 members are present. Ma'am, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge.
Sure.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He has the ILMEA.
Unless you want it.
Okay. I had no changes to the agenda. Did anyone else have any modifications or changes?
Come in.
Okay. With that, I need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Scarpino, please call the roll.
Fiorentino?
Aye.
Zettler?
Aye.
Scarpino, aye. Thomas? Aye. Miller?
Aye.
Lamarca?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, we're on item number 6. We have some good news announcements from the board regarding our very talented students.
Yeah, 17 District 300 students named to ILMEA District 9 Junior Festival Ensemble. District 300 Coordinator of Fine Arts, Sheila Karate Kagan, is proud to announce that District 17 District 300 middle school students have been selected to the ILMEA Junior Festival Ensemble. These students chose to put in the time and effort to prepare an audition for the festival, even though it would not be taking place this year due to COVID-19. This year's auditions were submitted via video. The students who were selected participated in a master class with the professional musicians over Zoom, a unique musical experience that gave students the chance to learn more about their instruments, college options, and provide opportunity for the students who worked so hard to prepare. From CMS, directed by Michael Casper and Michelle Vasquez, congratulations to Adrian Bardesi on clarinet and Jesse Perez on the flute. From Dundee Middle School Chorus, directed by Matt Bishop and Mona Roy, congratulations to Kayla De La Penda, alto, Olivia Eckersberg, soprano, Kayla Leindecker, soprano, Delaney Moog, soprano, and Rachel Shepard, also soprano. From the DMS Orchestra, directed by Ann Von Olin, congratulations to Kaylee Harder on the cello. From the DMS Band, directed by Kathleen Way, congratulations to Carlos Rivera on clarinet. From Hampshire Middle School Orchestra, directed by Beth, congratulations to directed by Amy Jones. Congratulations to Neil Soriano on the violin. From Westfield Community School Choir, directed by Jillian Peel. Congratulations to Aubrey Devona, soprano, and Kaylin Kamelchek, directed by Kelly Hoblin Lamorena. Congratulations to Caitlin Fahey on trumpet, Curtis Kornatsky on the clarinet, Ercole Scarpelli on trombone, and Kasia Seto on trumpet. Congratulations to all these outstanding students for being selected to the District 9 Junior Festival Ensembles.
Dundee Crown High School receives $10,000 donation. On January 6th, Weedman Lawn Care donated $10,000 to Dundee Crown High School. District 300 would like to thank Adam Hughes, Weedman Lawn Care's general manager, and their entire organization for their extremely generous donation. The donation will be used to purchase a state-of-the-art sound system in the school's main gym.
As an additional note to that, we will actually are going to invite them to join us virtually at an upcoming meeting so they can be recognized more formally. Again, $10,000 we provided. Weedman, the company, the parent company, is the one who contacted us, and they actually asked for multiple projects from the school that the school felt that they needed funds to go towards. And we provided 4 choices to them, and they felt strongly that one of their mission objectives or mission goals as an organization is communication. And so they really liked the idea of helping to replace and refurbish the sound system at Dundee Crown. So we were very pleased to accept that donation, but we'd like to have them join us at an upcoming meeting.
2 Jacobs High School students named Coca-Cola Scholar Foundation semifinalists. Congratulations to Jacob High School students Katie McAuliffe and Krish Say on being named Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation semifinalists for their outstanding commitments to their communities. The mission of the Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation is to provide scholarship programs and long life enrichment opportunities in support of exceptional people, thirst for knowledge, and their desire to make a difference in the world. Katie and Chris were 2 of just 1,609 students selected to be semifinalists for over 99,403 applicants. Wow. Coca-Cola is now reviewing all semifinalists. 250 students will advance to become the regional finalists, and 150 students will ultimately be selected as Coca-Cola scholars and will receive a $20,000 scholarship. Congratulations, Katie and Chris. District 300 wishes you the best of luck advancing to the regional finals.
Thank you. Mr. Hyde?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of the board, and staff and community members, thank you for joining us this evening. So a couple brief talking points this evening. I apologize, related to our school reopening. So if we could advance the slide. I do not have the fob controller. Oh, I do. I apologize. So a reopening update. Schools successfully reopened on Monday, January 11th. We have roughly 64 to 65% of our students in attendance or choosing an in-person option at this time. That's a slight decline from the initial interest of roughly 76%. But given the rise of COVID throughout the winter break, and now thankfully we're starting to see those numbers decline again, we kind of anticipated we may see some requests to transition. For the first 2 days, we've actually seen a few transportation delays. We did message in advance to families. It's essentially day one all over again. Traffic patterns, accidents, all those things have a direct impact on our transportation. Also, just a reminder, and we've had very minimal delays. I'm very, very proud of Deb Mason and Dan Sutherland and his team from Durham. They've worked very hard to try and provide timely pickups and drop-offs. And we've had a handful on each day. As you know, I provided you with summaries. And those have been related to traffic issues. So, for example, one of our special education buses was delayed because the handicap ramp for the wheelchairs no longer functioned. Obviously, that's not a bus that can be put in service. So there are those things that happen. Even with the best of maintenance and inspections, those things do break down. So we've had great service thus far. And we're very proud of that. And parents who have contacted us with concerns about children's seating on the bus, we've quickly addressed within 24 hours to make sure that they have a high level of assurance. We are very proud of the fact that as a school district, thank you to the school board, thank you to Ms. Harkin, thank you to Sherry Schmidt and others for their very hard work to help ensure that we can provide a safe environment for our students. Beyond the personal protective equipment, as you know, that we've invested in, and then recently HEPA filtration and other types of protective devices and assurances, we are now surveillance testing staff on a weekly basis. We've had a high participation rate. Roughly 90% or more of our staff are volunteering to be tested each week. There are exemptions available for some. However, we've had a very high testing rate, and this is a testament to our staff. And all that testing that took place last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it takes place each week. We did identify one asymptomatic individual. So it did prevent someone who was positive for COVID from getting back into the school setting the following week, potentially be creating a close contact exposure event for their peers and obviously for their students. So it did work. We're very pleased. And again, we continue to support that employee as we had previously. So the system and the process does work. Currently, it's a nasal swab test. It's not the typical nasal pharyngeal, just as a reminder, it is a nasal swab test, and then hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to transition to the saliva-based test as we discussed previously. Another important note, as of today, we received our first batch of 100 Binax Now rapid tests. If you recall, we had to apply to the state and the feds to get CLIA waiver approval so that we could administer those tests on our school sites. These are not preventative tests. These are tests that we can administer to any staff member or any student who is demonstrating symptoms. That is important to note because as we look at the next slide, thank you. We have had in just the first 2 days, we had 24 students that were sent home over the first 2 days of school with COVID-like symptoms. This test exists for those family members. And so we will now reach out to those families and ask them, please come back and schedule an appointment. We'll identify the testing date and time and location. If they choose to participate, they may. If their child tests negative and their doctor says their child has an alternate diagnosis, we can then return the student to school if they're fever-free for the 72 hours. So for example, a bit of good news tonight, we're testing our first student tonight. And so hopefully that will be a negative test in that student and will be allowed to return to school. So it's a positive thing for us, it's a positive thing for our community, and it will, because here's the point that I'm trying to convey. So we did have one student at one of our high schools that came back COVID positive. Please understand, I want to make sure I clarify this for both the board and for our community. That student did not come to school knowingly positive. The student is asymptomatic, has no symptoms whatsoever, was tested as a precaution because they intend to visit family in the near future, and that test came back positive. The family immediately notified us. The student was removed from campus. However, 9 students were quarantined as a result. If we can work with the Binax Now and other testing for those students who have symptoms, not necessarily those who've been close contacts with somebody who's positive, we can reduce the number of quarantine events and students being excluded from in-person learning opportunities to the greatest extent possible. So we're very pleased with that. And again, that is kudos to Ms. Harkin and her through manually. So kudos to her and again, her amazing team on their work here. And our building principals and our staff, they really, and our union leadership, everybody's really come together to say, how do we provide the highest level of assurance for our staff, students, and community? And we continue to monitor things, as you know. We've had 2 staff members test positive. Again, neither one of them has a link to school or evidence of school transmission. Both are outside exposure events, and no close contacts were identified, and no further impact to staff or students will occur at this time. So again, good news. In both of these instances, if I recall correctly, the specifics surrounding these, one was the positive test for the asymptomatic individual who was an employee last week, and then another one was an employee who hasn't been on campus since last Wednesday when they started to develop symptoms. So again, minimal exposure, minimal issues, but we're very pleased that we have a refined process for tracking and monitoring all of these events. And again, I can't help but say thank you, for the fact that we now have ongoing weekly proactive testing to provide our staff with a high level of assurance that they haven't been exposed during the week to the greatest extent possible, but also for the Binax Now testing for those who are symptomatic, that we may be able to identify that they are not COVID positive and can return to school when appropriate in accordance with our school sick day policies. Dr. Scarpino.
Mr. Hyde, I'd like, this is kind of like a public service announcement, but I want to thank you and Ms. Harkin because I sent you an email, and I visit the schools, and I said, what should I do? What do you want me to do? And you both sent me emails back and said it would be a great idea if you would be tested. And so I just want to tell the parents that you guys are really looking out for the kids, and I want to thank you for that. I really do. So that's
Well, we're subjected to testing weekly as well. And I say subjected because I got through the first nostril without tearing up, but the second one, my eyes watered. And I believe it was Mr. Williamson who shared that that's the first time he cried when at a building in a very long time. But we want to model that. And again, but considering my frequency, and again, for those who are in buildings, the testing is afforded to them. I do it because I believe that's what I should do in good conscience. So just to make you aware of that it's not something that we receive as a luxury here at Central Office. There are very few people here at Central Office that are actually tested each week. And it's solely based on the frequency in which they're in schools and whether or not they can adequately social distance. So next steps. So now that we're open, we continue to monitor. Good news, the update on IDPH's website today showed that both our regional and our county metrics for Kane were below the 12% threshold. At some point, IDPH made a decision to move the positivity rate threshold from 8% to 12%. Please know that I have asked for a written clarification as to why they modified the policy, an explanation. I know some of you have asked me for that policy, and I will provide that as soon as I have it. So we have seen now 4 metrics arguably start to move. 3 metrics are in yellow or green, improving. That's hospitalizations, those types of things. Cases per 100,000 were the 2 that remained in the red. Indicator will move to yellow, allowing, again, continuing to support a hybrid model. And then cases per 100,000, we've moved from an all-time high of roughly 667. I'm going from memory here, about late November, and we have seen that reduce by more than half. And so, no, it's not at the 50 cases per 100,000, but it is starting to decline. It is trending downwards, and it is a positive trend. In addition to which, we then look at the second level. So once we look at the school level metrics, and again, just for clarification, we no longer apply metrics across the whole district as a wholesale approach. We are going specifically by the primary zip codes that feed a building. And so if we see indicators for a school building that fall into the red, then we immediately look at level 2. Level 2 consists of impact to staff and impact on students. Impact to staff is defined as our ability to actually staff our schools and be able to deliver in-person instruction with people in the building. So if we have too many staff who are out sick, quarantined, for whatever the reasons, and we can't deliver instruction, then we must go remote for the 2 weeks before everybody is allowed to return. Then we also look, it's an and/or, is there evidence of student transmission? And by transmission, we're not talking about evidence of cases. We're going to see positive COVID cases. I just want to clarify this because these are some of the questions we've received most frequently. It is evidence of outbreaks. If it's an outbreak as defined by 5 or more cases that are linked, and evidence points that the transmission occurred in the classroom, so we're talking about a classroom outbreak, that classroom will be closed. We did that at Meadowdale Elementary School, if you recall, when we opened in October. We had to quarantine a classroom for a period of 2 weeks. However, if there's evidence of transmission across the school, meaning multiple students who may be sports team together or they may be in a club, or if there's evidence of an outbreak, these decisions are made on a school-by-school, case-by-case basis. The only thing that, again, would force us to close would be a governor's mandate, although in another indication of a positive trajectory that we're headed in, it is likely that our region and several others may exit Tier 3 mitigations and return to Tier 2, which is a very positive. We have very robust systems. Mr. McGinn ensures that school sites are updated to our district web, or every Friday as well. So parents will keep real-time or be kept informed in real time through email and other communications, but the dashboards will be updated every Friday. So thank you for the clarification. So also next steps, if things go well, then by February 1st, we will begin to have conversations about whether or not we will eliminate the synchronous Fridays. It may still benefit us to maintain the synchronous Fridays at elementary school for cleaning purposes and other types of events, but we'll make those decisions. In addition to which, during this time, again, after the first 2 or 3 weeks of school, if things are going well, we will also look at certain student groups and look to increase their frequency on campus at the middle school and high school level. For example, our special education students, our EL learners for year 1, year 2, possibly year 3, or students who are academically struggling, they may be invited to come in 3 days. First, we may look to eliminate the synchronous Fridays and make that an in-person day. Do the same thing at middle and high school, except that obviously would become part of the A-Day, B-Day rotation. Once staff are vaccinated, we expect that staff will receive more information. We continue to receive updates, as I share with the board, about vaccinations and timelines and our expectations and anticipations. Once they've received both vaccinations, and both vaccinations, I believe Dr. Scarpino can speak to this because he personally has been vaccinated, happen within a specified period of time, roughly a month. If once our staff are fully vaccinated, then becomes a point where we can, and metrics are holding, then we start to have a discussion about increasing the number of students on campus or the frequency yet again. And that is our commitment for both to our staff, to our communities, and hopefully we're moving in the right direction with these things. Last thing is a COVID vaccination update. As you know, the board knows I have a meeting every Monday with Kane County Health Department. We continue to receive updates from them. Good news, again, the governor has, as you know, educators, K-12, it's inclusive of all employees, including contracted services and whatnot, are in distribution group 1B. Distribution group 1B is a very large group, but we are working with our health departments. We surveyed staff today. Kane County provided us with a survey, and they need responses back by 3 p.m. on Friday. And what they're looking for is not, there's no name. So what we asked the staff members, what school district do you work in, because it was Kane County wide. What school site do you work at? And so if you work here at central office, you put central office, and I sent that to the board. And then it asks, are you going to, if the vaccine is offered to you, will you accept it? Yes, no, or I haven't decided yet. There's no name associated with this because really what they're looking for is quantities. As the vaccine is in high demand and quantities, they start to see an increase in distribution, they want to be able to manage the vaccination process across our area. And so we sent the survey out to staff today. We've actually gotten a large number of responses already. The Kane County ROE reported because they see the data on their side. By Friday, they will give us a total of yeses, nos, and uncertain yet, because we have to share that with McHenry County and some other counties as well. And so we are excited because this is a true signal that the vaccination is coming. As you know, the governor has also authorized for distribution group 1B to begin vaccination in any county where they have completed 1A. Just as a reminder for our staff, for the board, if you're in distribution group 1B and at this time you do not feel confident in getting the vaccination, that does not mean you won't be afforded the vaccination at a later date. You can change your mind. So even if they move into group 1C or teachers have been addressed and they're going deeper into group 1B, you still have the right to come forward and say, I'd like to be vaccinated. And so they will ensure that those vaccinations occur. We are not mandating vaccinations as a school district. We are encouraging people to have conversations with their primary care physicians and make an educated decision, but we are not requiring vaccination of staff. I've been asked a question, I was asked it again today from a student, will the district mandate the vaccination? And just from a point of clarification, we do not have the authority to mandate student vaccinations. We have heard from the health department that that mandate is highly unlikely because they don't mandate the flu vaccine. And so we have been told that that is something that they do not anticipate becoming a reality for students either. So I believe I covered everything on there, and that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea which of the vaccines would be given to Kane County or the district in particular?
What they've shared with us right now, while the Kane County doesn't have a preference as far as one being superior to the other, they have a preference as far as the Moderna vaccine because of its flexibility with storage and distribution and administration. That's the only point that we've heard raised. But as far as, any issues with reliability, reactions, they haven't indicated anything that one's preferred over the other. So no. Okay. However, during your administration, you're documented which vaccine you were provided, and then you get a card. You're also in their database. So when you come back, they ensure you get the second dose of. Our understanding, based off what we were told, is that you will then get a titer test, and that titer test will evaluate the level of antigens that your body has developed from the first vaccination shot. If it falls below a specified threshold, you will have to do both shots again. If it is above a certain established threshold, you can just get the second shot regardless of the time frame. So that's how they anticipate being able to address those issues.
Do they have any idea where they would give the vaccines at this point?
At this point, they continue to try and problem solve. They've been working with us as school districts. We reached out to LEAD today to have some conversations about whether or not our own staff, nursing staff, would be willing or able to do this. We have some concerns with liability and some other issues, but it is our understanding that it will either, they are signing MOUs with several community partners who then will be responsible for administering. So we still haven't heard whether it will be done through the point of dispensing or the pod sites at our 3 high schools, or whether or not they will host a vaccination event like they just recently did for school nurses and other employees at the Kane County Health Fair, or Fairgrounds, excuse me, or another site. We could be at the Now Center, used to be the Sears Center, or we could maybe be asked to report to ECC for one of their locations. It'll depend on where they do a pop-up pod site for us.
Okay, interesting, thank you.
You're welcome. Again, I've learned more about vaccinations than I ever wanted to know. So, Madam President, that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, thank you. Moving on, was there any other legislative update? I don't think so.
Apologize, Madam President, not at this time.
Okay, we had no one sign up for public participation, so we are now on item number 10. These are discussion items, and again, we have received information regarding these. I'm going to watch the board members. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or anything as we go down these items. 10.1, board meeting minutes. 10.2, redacted closed minutes. 10.3, permission to destroy closed session recordings. 10.4, disposal report. 10.5, donations for Dundee Crown High School. Professional services testing contract. 10.8, roofing bids. 10.9, summer projects bid package number 2. And 10.10, Freedom of Information Act report. Okay, we're moving on to items under 11. Under consent items, I need a motion to approve the consent items.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Scarpino, call the roll.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Thomas. Lamarca.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Scarpino, aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We are now on item number 12. This is roll call action items. Item 12.1, this is employee case number 3 for dismissal. I have a resolution that needs to be read. Resolution of the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300 authorizing dismissal. Requesting the dismissal of Eric Hall, a DESPA employee previously discussed in closed session, and whereas this Board of Education herewith finds and determines pursuant to Board Policy 5:180, temporary illness or temporary incapacity, the dismissal of Eric Hall is in the best interests of the district. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300, 1. Mr. Hall is hereby dismissed as an employee effective January 12, 2021. Adopted this 12th day of 2021 by the following roll call vote. I need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Scarpino, please call the roll.
Scarpino, aye. Lamarca.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Fiorentino. Thomas. Zettler.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on, under board discussion, 13.1, board committee reports. Any updates from board finance and or
Oh, sorry. Thought you were going to pause after finance. I just,
2021? It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be a great year.
I know. It's a great first day of school.
Amazingly committed to our students and our parents and our community, our dedicated group of individuals. So ready will continue. It's like to be in our classrooms. And
next week.
I volunteered, and then the original person who I volunteered to assist, ultimately all of her students are in person. So she said, as I would expect. Mr. Hyde, it's okay, we don't need you. So then I offered it up to Mr. Williamson and his rep council, and of course, multiple individuals took me up on my offer very quickly. So I will be in classrooms assisting, and I'll have some firsthand knowledge and experience of what it's like working with various grade levels. So I'm excited. And I think the teacher's excited too, because she said I could teach the science unit. So it'll be equally beneficial to everyone involved.
It will be, I think we all will be interested to hear your experiences, because I'm sure it's different being in the classroom. I mean, many times we've heard from parents and from teachers, unless we're there, we don't really know.
Correct.
And so it will be interesting. I mean, we aren't really in the position where we can go to the classroom to see. So it will be interesting to get
And I largely don't drink coffee, but I will have at least 2 coffees before I go, because I keep hearing stamina right now amongst, and my own student at home came home the first day and said, I'm exhausted. Yeah. It was different, and so we're glad we made the transitions we did, and it's ultimately, obviously, we believe this is our best option right now. It's not ideal, trying to teach in both areas, and our teachers, again, have been incredibly helpful, and they are very quick.
Thank you.
keep us updated on how things.
I'll take
progress.
pictures of my experience in the classroom.
Are you teaching kindergarten?
No, no. I will, I'm sure I will at some point, but I will.
I've taught kindergarten, I've subbed kindergarten, I know what it's like. No, thank you.
Comment? Thank you. Oh.